Mr. Chairman, legislators, and members of our community, I stand here before you to tell you the state of our county is strong, and we have a unique opportunity to build on the many successes of the past year by doubling down on the spirit of partnership and collaboration. Over the last 15 months, we as a county government have delivered on our promise of unprecedented collaboration. We have seen what is possible. We have seen the results, and we believe that we can reach our true potential as a community, a county, and a region when we work together. We have reestablished and strengthened partnerships with our city, our towns, and village governments. We have re-engaged our nonprofit partners and institutions of higher education. As a community, we have demonstrated a shared vision with shared intentions. These efforts have created dynamic and real partnerships with the private sector and an unprecedented level of engagement from Governor Cuomo. I want to take this opportunity to reflect on some of our success stories from 2019 and offer you a bold agenda for 2020 that capitalizes on this unique moment in time as we write the next chapter for our community. Let us start with our fiscal scorecard. We will break this down into three categories: 2019 highlights, 2020 fiscal challenges, and our 2020 fiscal agenda and opportunities. Certainly there was not a larger fiscal accomplishment in 2019 than our 10-year extension of the county city sales tax agreement. This agreement will allow our region's two largest governments to plan and manage our budgets moving forward, as we will know what our revenues will look like. I want to thank the county legislature, Mayor Ben Walsh, and the Common Council for all of your efforts on this. Please give them a round of applause. I think the mayor's in the house, isn't he? There he is. He's back from Albany lobbying for us. Good to see you, Mayor. In 2019, we also extended our village improvement program, recognizing villages as small cities and investing more resources in them. We also held the towns and villages harmless and paid out their aid payments with the proceeds of countywide sales tax. In 2019, also saw winter severity snow plowing payments to our town and village partners totaling $1.6 million. I'm pleased to report that as we close out our books, we ended 2019 spending $16 million less than we budgeted. However, due to volatile sales tax growth and aid payments to towns and villages, our revenue projections did fall. Nevertheless, we still anticipate a budget surplus of $3 million. This surplus will put our fund balance, or rainy day fund, at $73.3 million. This is $7 million more than the 10% fund balance goal set forth by this county legislature. In 2019, my administration made tax collection one of our top priorities. For far too long, many corporate actors did not pay their taxes for years, daring the county to do something about it. Shopping town. The problem is compounded by law. Onondaga County holds towns, villages, and school districts harmless in tax collection. In other words, we make our local governments whole, and Onondaga County is then responsible for chasing down these irresponsible corporate citizens. So we decided to take a different approach and created the Accountability and Reinvestment Corporation, which allows us to take properties for back taxes and shield the county from any potential liability. We made it very clear to individuals who owe us years of back taxes that it is time to pay or we will take your property. And our actions have worked. We have changed behavior and had a record year collecting $23 million in back taxes. We also took aggressive action with many hotels that were late paying room occupancy tax, or ROT. ROT is an important tool to drive tourism initiatives in Onondaga County. However, I am pleased to report every hotel, with the exception of one ownership group, the Trams Group, has paid their room occupancy tax or is now in payment arrangements. This has resulted in an additional $500,000 collected in 2019. We've also recently refinanced $25 million of bonds at a true interest rate of 1.43%. This refinance will save the taxpayers $3.2 million over the next 10 years. 2019 also saw record low unemployment, hovering around 3.7%, with over 8,000 private sector jobs created. We also saw another increase in the average home sales price, which now stands at approximately $171,000. And we are starting out this year right. Our 2020 budget is balanced. We have once again cut property taxes to an all-time low with a tax rate of $5 per thousand. Not many governments can say they have cut property taxes for the last 9 years, but in Onondaga County, we can. One of the main contributing factors to our ability to drop our county tax rate to this historic low is the hard cap on Medicaid. In 2014, Governor Cuomo made a deal with counties to live within a property tax cap, and in exchange, New York would absorb the increases in the local share of Medicaid moving forward. I believe this to be one of our greatest accomplishments collectively between New York State and Onondaga County. We have not raised taxes once in 9 years, due in large part to this partnership. As New York State considers their budget and what their options are to make Medicaid more sustainable, we encourage our partners to stay the course on the Medicaid hard cap. Let counties work with the Medicaid redesign team in 2020 to achieve the state's desired savings. Help local governments implement new initiatives in 2021 through a series of regulatory reforms and pilot initiatives. And then let's reassess where we stand financially after these pilot programs have been implemented. As partners, New York State should give counties the tools to help find Medicaid savings. Medicaid for the truly needy is not the overarching problem in New York. Rather, a number of legal loopholes that have been created over the years that allow individuals with greater financial means to access Medicaid, and in particular, long-term care services. In fact, it is long-term care services that make up 46% of all Medicaid spending in New York State. Medicaid eligibility planning is now a very lucrative industry in the legal and financial communities, where practitioners actively help family members shield income and assets towards the goal of qualifying family members for Medicaid. Typical practices include the allowance for spending down assets and the spousal refusal of care. These loopholes can and should be closed. Some other innovative ideas and regulatory changes that should be considered before penalizing counties for increased Medicaid costs include addressing the overuse of emergency rooms for what is otherwise considered routine care. An idea that we will be further researching with our Medicaid managed care partners is the use of telemedicine. A virtual app is used to connect patients with emergency medical providers through their smartphone or computer. Medical care is provided within minutes rather than hours, and triage of acute issues can be addressed rapidly. This creative solution is already being utilized in Rensselaer County and is showing promising results in ensuring appropriate patient care that also provides an avenue to control costs. In 2020, Onondaga County will put together a telemedicine partnership to help the overall system save money. Since New York State's Medicaid takeover of populations under 65 and non-disabled, they have allowed applicants to simply attest to their income without providing actual verification. Think about that. This practice should immediately cease because of the widespread potential for fraud and abuse. Currently, only New York City can retain funds through Medicaid recoveries from fraud investigations. Allowing all counties to retain a portion of Medicaid recoveries would provide incentive for counties to more aggressively pursue fraud within the system. If we are given the ability by New York State to freely investigate Medicaid fraud, we will work with the county comptroller and district attorney's office to put together an official Medicaid fraud unit immediately. New York can also eliminate the regulations that prohibit pursuing those who are self-employed for fraudulent practices. A whole class of individuals should not be given the benefit of the doubt when the general population does not receive similar consideration. Any changes to the Medicaid hard cap creates volatile conditions in budgeting and will cost our county millions of dollars on an annual basis. Our team recognizes we need to help our state partners where we can, and we are willing to. But let's keep the cap so we can continue to provide the property tax relief our constituents have seen over the last 9 years. Much has been written and discussed about the New York State bail reform that took effect on January 1st. While I agree with law enforcement and members of the judiciary who believe that this reform may have gone too far, I would like to focus in on some of the lesser-known realities stemming from the new regulations. Nearly everyone has recognized that our local jails will house fewer inmates because of these reforms. What hasn't been discussed, and should be, is that the state sets minimum staffing requirements at all of our jails. This control prevents the cost savings we should recognize due to the reality of housing fewer inmates. For instance, whether we have 10 inmates in a pod or 60 inmates in a pod, we are still required to have the same staffing levels. Those at the state have said that we should be able to pay for the added costs to the DA's office and probation department from the savings at our jails. But those savings cannot be recognized as long as the Commission on Corrections controls staffing. The price tag to our local taxpayers is over $1 million in the 2020 budget. So I am calling for 2 immediate reforms to this law from our partners in the New York State Legislature. First, give counties the ability to staff jails to the population in the jails. And second, change the 15-day discovery mandate on our district attorneys to 45 days. Discovery has little or nothing to do with bail reform, and 15 days is an expensive mandate on our local governments. Not to mention, it makes it more difficult for witnesses of crime to cooperate with our law enforcement partners. As an aside, our team takes pride in having an open door and welcomes any conversation with our state delegation regarding the true local impact of legislation prior to passage. We do see an opportunity in the governor's proposal to allow counties to have regional jails. Currently, our Justice Center and the Janesville Correctional Facility are barely half full, allowing us an opportunity to work with neighboring counties on having Onondaga County be a regional jail for Central New York. This initiative could lead to real savings and further collaboration with counties if we work together. We are also very pleased the governor's budget has additional funding for implementing the countywide shared service plans. Our plan this year had 15 proposals, totaling a projected $17.5 million in savings. If we demonstrate these savings in 2020, the state will match them and send $17.5 million to the governments who put these proposals forward. In 2020, we are going to do even more with our partners. Here are 3 2020 initiatives Mayor Walsh and I have come to an agreement on and are preparing the appropriate legislation as needed for the county legislature and common council to consider. 1, a shared services agreement between the county and city information and technology departments. 2, move forward with putting the city and county planning, economic development, community development, and neighborhood business development offices into the Carnegie Library. And 3, create a shared services working group for the Syracuse and Onondaga County IDAs. This group will assess administrative procedures and functions appropriate for consolidation or shared services. This will create operating efficiencies and improve customer experience with our 2 IDAs. I want to thank Mayor Walsh for all his leadership on these issues. We also need to remain vigilant in managing our out-year fiscal liabilities. Retirement health insurance is a major liability. Right now, retirees pay 15% in contributions to their health care plan, while current employees on average pay 20% contributions on their health plan. This is simply not sustainable, and we need to address the issue. Therefore, I will be sending a retirement incentive to the legislature for your consideration. The incentive guarantees any employee who retires before October 31st of this year 3 things. 1, we will guarantee retirement health insurance. 2, we will lock their contribution rate in at a 15% rate. And 3, they will receive a one-time $5,000 incentive payment. This legislation will also increase the retiree contribution to 22% for any employee who retires after October 31st, 2020. So for future retirees. We will also work with our CSEA union to make sure that all union members and all other bargaining units understand what this means for them. Over the last 15 months, we have built strong partnerships, and I have focused much of my time on engaging our amazing workforce. From our senior staff, to our department heads, to all level of management, our bargaining units, to every last employee, many of whom are here tonight. Much of the success we highlight tonight is because of you. I cannot tell you enough how proud I am to be able to call each and every one of you colleagues. I want to specifically thank CSEA President Dan Vidala and his team for their great partnership, and I look forward to an even better 2020. In 2019, I asked you to think differently and help me diversify our county workforce. I set forth an ambitious goal of hiring 20% minority employees by 2022. While there is still work to do, I am happy to report that since taking office, my administration has increased our minority hiring to 30%. Now starting to truly reflect the community that we live in. To further that effort, we created the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, and I am so pleased that former legislator Monica Williams has joined the team and will help us build out our talent pipelines from our minority communities. Monica, welcome aboard. Monica got confused today. She's used to sitting over there. We had to get her a new seat. I'm also pleased to announce an appointment that is long overdue. For so many, when we think of amazing county employees, one of the first names that comes to mind is Joanne Spododecker. Day in and day out, Joanne is the go-to person with regard to issues around aging in our entire community. She has been widely recognized at both the federal and state levels of government for her performance, and it is an inspiration to many of us, including myself. I am very happy to now include her on our management team as the Deputy Commissioner for Aging Services in the Department of Adult and Long-Term Care. I have included this announcement in this part of my address intentionally. Joanne is a shining illustration of not letting a physical challenge, in this case hearing loss, hinder her success. Congratulations, Joanne. We are very, very lucky to have you. You will also be hard-pressed to find another entity that has done more with procurement to drive business to local vendors and minority and women-owned businesses than our team in purchasing. In 2019, we awarded $55.5 million in contracts, with $18.5 million going to MWBE companies. Our procurement strategy has driven more tax dollars to local vendors, giving small business the opportunity for resume building work. I am also proud of the partnership we have forged with our local veteran community. Our relationship is no doubt stronger than ever, and that is thanks to, in part, some of the initiatives that we realized in 2019. For starters, we eliminated the cost of burials for our veterans, their spouses, and eligible dependents at our veteran cemetery. We also work with our Veterans Advisory Council to ink a naming rights deal with the Upstate Medical University. The Syracuse Crunch will now play in the Upstate Medical University Arena at the Onondaga County War Memorial. I am also pleased to report that much of the naming rights revenue will be directly reinvested into the War Memorial, honoring our veterans and their service. After consultation with many veterans in the community, I will be sending legislation to the legislature, making our Veteran Service Agency a standalone department reporting directly to the Office of the County Executive. Ken, didn't you like that one? Where's Ken Bush? Where is he? All right, Ken, that was for you, bud. Yep. Another top priority of myself and our local veterans was to find a new leader for our Veteran Service Agency. Tonight, I am pleased to inform you that I have nominated Sergeant Anne-Marie Mancia to be the next director of the Veteran Service Agency. I don't know if Annie knew that was coming. No. All right. Annie currently serves as the assistant director, and I'm confident this transition will be seamless. One of the first tasks Annie will have is to work with our amazing partners at Syracuse University as they prepare to open the state-of-the-art National Veterans Service Center this spring. Annie, on behalf of Onondaga County, let me be the first to say congratulations. In 2019, after a deep dialogue with the community, I put forward our PIE agenda. We challenged our team and the community at large for long, mid, and short-term strategies for success in our three main categories of poverty, infrastructure, and economic development. Our PIE platform was embraced by many of you, and we are honored and pleased that our agenda was also supported at the ballot box by the community this past November. As I said last year, the moral challenge of our time as leaders is addressing and making substantial gains on the issue of poverty. Poverty is a symptom of the lack of development and opportunity. We need to change this. Poverty is not just an urban issue. We have extreme rural poverty and suburban poverty as well. Our goal is to make poverty a temporary moment in time for someone, not their way of life. And we see no better cure to poverty than through economic opportunity and a job. We have made significant strides as a community, but the challenge is still staggering. The good news is that recent data shows poverty in our community has dropped again. It is now at its lowest rate in 10 years. Our community's renewed efforts are having a positive impact, but there's still much to do. We have focused in on 7 main areas: transportation, housing, early childhood, education, generational poverty, workforce development, and health. I will highlight strategic initiatives that we believe will help remove barriers to work for many of our families, as well as some of the data which will explain how we got there. In county government, we have a team that is appropriately called our analytics team, with an O-N, if you didn't know how to spell that. Their job is to collect and process the massive amounts of data that we have at our disposal. We have used this data to make informed decisions that drive resource allocation, allow for performance management, and ensure that taxpayer investment is getting the intended results. We have used our analytics team as part of our oversight of the Alliance for Economic Inclusion, or the AEI. I charge them with using data to make sure that our precious resources are getting where they are needed and ultimately producing the intended results. The following example is taken directly from reporting from the first round of AEI recipients or awardees. What you see in front of you is Census Tract 6. This tract is bordered by Court Street, Pond Street, Grant Boulevard, and North Alvarez Street in the city's north side. Comparatively, it is one of the most economically challenged tracts in the county. Through comprehensive data analytics, I can now tell you much more about the demographics of this census tract than ever before, and then use that data to make informed decisions. From the AEI required reporting, we see that there are 134 unique clients receiving one or more services from the AEI contracted agencies. From this data, I challenged our team to see the effect over time of the AEI programs serving this specific census tract. I'm excited to tell you that the results are extremely promising. From April to October of last year, just 7 months, those on public benefits in Census Tract 6 went down to 116 cases. This is the type of analysis and results we will build upon to ensure that our investments are sound. And let me be clear, If the data should prove otherwise, we will quickly pivot. This morning, we're excited to announce, and actually I think it's this afternoon, but who's counting, that the second round of AEI funding has been approved. So that's good news. I bet you some of you in this room are wondering if you're winners. Well, I'm not sure exactly if you are or not. I don't got the list in front of me. I think I heard Walter. Walter, I think you did okay. I want to thank our partners, and specifically Governor Cuomo and his team. The first round of AEI included a focus on job creation as well as sustainable programming. The second round placed an emphasis on transportation. It is no secret that one of the biggest barriers for many in our community is access to reliable transportation. One of the successful proposals from this round includes a partnership with Center State CEO, Centro, and Enterprise, which will launch a van pool program in Central New York. The program will fill gaps in our transit system to connect workers in underserved areas to remote job locations. Providence Services of Syracuse will also provide an alternative transportation solution to and from work for low-income individuals that cannot use Central. The flexibility of this program will allow for greater opportunities in government, nonprofit, and not-for-profit organizations. We are also one of the only counties in New York State that has seen a reduction in the homeless rate. From 2018 to 2019, the rate of homelessness decreased by 9.4%, which is a promising reduction in just 1 year. The even better news is that 13% of our homeless community members were moved to permanent housing. Thank you to our partners, including the Housing and Homeless Coalition, and especially our team at the Department of Social Services, which helped make this progress happen. An offshoot of our homeless and housing efforts is our investment in a tiny home for good. Last year, we invested $235,000 with Andrew Lunetta and his team of volunteers to construct permanent housing for our veterans. 2 have already been completed, and 5 more will be done in coming months. Andrew Lunetta and his army of dedicated volunteers are a fantastic example of successful grassroots response to addressing homelessness. And because their results continue to be on time and within budget, I'm happy to announce that we will be advancing an additional $180,000 this year to essentially complete 6 more houses. Thank you, Andrew. Keep up your work. The availability of quality and affordable early childhood is an area where we must find a solution. Too many families are unable to afford the cost of childcare, let alone find providers with space. Last year, with the support of this county legislature, we invested $1.5 million in the Early Childhood Alliance. Among many other things, this investment has helped significantly reduce the cost of childcare for eligible families. We all know that kindergarten readiness is critical to future success. We must prepare our children for the workforce of tomorrow, and every child in our county being kindergarten ready is critical to this effort. Our commitment and investment to our children, however, does not end at kindergarten. We also partner with many of our local school districts on the social and emotional health of our children. We are very proud of this partnership, and once again, working together is producing positive results. The Syracuse City School District recently announced that their graduation rates have risen again to 64.5%. When we began our partnership with the Syracuse City School District 10 years ago, graduation rates were in the 40s. We are clearly on the right track, and will keep pushing forward until we see every child entering high school walk across that stage with a diploma in hand. In 2019, we put into circulation 200 additional tech packs throughout our library system. These tech packs are comprised of a Chrome tablet and a hotspot, helping to address the digital divide, which exists throughout our county. Demand for these tech packs is high, and the response from the community has been overwhelming. This program started out as a pilot, but has proven beyond successful. So let's invest another $150,000 and get even more tech packs in our libraries. Legislation will be forthcoming. We also placed a renewed emphasis on assisting families experiencing multi-generational poverty. Through our coordinated efforts in working directly with each family, the number of cases declined by 14% in 2019. This is a great start, but we have more work to do. We also continued our partnership with Mayor Walsh and the City of Syracuse with our Summer Youth Jobs Program. Over 1,400 youth participated in 2019. Work is dignity, no matter what your age. This program has been a huge success, and we will work with all our partners to make sure the program grows again in 2020. We are excited that Lemoyne College's Erie 21 initiative is off the ground and running. A multifaceted partnership to prepare city kids for tech jobs. Erie 21 looks to cultivate critical thinkers who excel at the kind of reasoning required for computer science and other tech-related fields. The program has 4 parts that target city youth and adults. First, a 2-week residential summer program for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders that teaches computer coding. Second, an academic support program for 1,500 city 8th graders and high school students. Third, a software education program for college students at Lemoyne that is designed with area businesses who also need tech employees. This includes intensive academic support for all these students. And fourth, job training and education aimed at helping struggling and unemployed adult workers retrain for tech jobs. Lemoyne College President Dr. Linda Lemura is with us tonight. Please join me in giving them a round of applause at our Lemoyne College family. Where's Linda? Hopefully her knee's feeling good. When it comes to public health, the opioid epidemic continues to hit our community as hard as any other. The menace of this addiction has many victims: the addict, their loved ones, friends, co-workers, employers, and the community at large. It is tough to talk to anyone in our county that has not been touched by this disease. But Onondaga County continues to show leadership in combating this public health issue, and we are seeing promising results. After reaching a peak in 2016, deaths due to opioids have declined 40%. In 2019, we lost 107 neighbors. Out of this number, 101 of these deaths were related to pills, not needles. Without question, the recent formation of the opioid court has been very successful and took our law enforcement partners in an important direction to decriminalize addiction. This progress would not have happened without Bill Fitzpatrick and the late Honorable James C. Tormey III. Justice Tormey was appointed the 5th District Administrative Judge in 2000. He established drug courts, opioid courts, and pioneered community court, which took low-level offenders into the community to provide community service in lieu of incarceration. He even presided over this first Onondaga County same-sex marriage. Justice Tormey lived by 2 quotes: temper justice with mercy, and justice delayed is justice denied. He was the first to credit his fellow judges, court employees, and staff for their relentless dedication to the district's successes. We all miss Justice Tormey dearly, and the legacy of his service is felt and seen every day in our county. With that said, it is my complete honor to announce that Chairman Knapp will be sponsoring legislation to rename the courthouse at 505 South State Street the Honorable James C. Tormey III Criminal Courts Building. There is no doubt that my administration has tackled the issue of infrastructure head-on. When looking at our infrastructure challenges, we see them as opportunities to lead, to innovate, and to grow. As we all know, our largest infrastructure challenges are those below ground and those impacting our most precious natural resource, our water. In 2019, we highlighted the threat of harmful algal blooms, or HABs, and we followed through on our commitment to support 2 initiatives to address this issue. First, we provided an upfront loan to the town of Skaneateles to develop their 9-element plan. This plan worked to identify mitigation projects in the Skaneateles Lake watershed. The second initiative provided funding to the SUNY ESF Propel initiative. Propel utilized drone and satellite footage to address and deploy advanced mitigation techniques in Skaneateles Lake. In 2020, let's make it a goal for all of our local shareholders to build out a partnership structure to continue our fight against invasive species in our waterways, specifically Skaneateles Lake. I want to recognize and thank Legislator Abbott Keenan for her tireless advocacy of Skaneateles and Atisco Lakes. Thank you, Julie. In 2019, we also highlighted our wastewater challenges and promised you a plan. And we have done just that. Our plan calls for Onondaga County to enter into long-term leases with our sewer district communities and take over control of the infrastructure. This corrects the ownership and maintenance challenges in the old system and will allow us to fix the leaky pipes and make the other needed investments in our wastewater system. By implementing this plan, neighborhoods will have the potential to grow. We will be able to continue marketing our community for new business, and existing businesses will be able to expand. More specifically, our plan calls for a 15-year implementation, and our financial model predicts that ratepayers will save $7 million annually in year 3. These savings then skyrocket to $70 million annually for the ratepayers in the whole community in year 13. This historic consolidation makes environmental and fiscal sense. So here are the next steps. Starting in Meadowbrook Limestone Service Area, we will execute the lease agreements which the legislature is in the process of considering. Second, we will begin work on the previously authorized $9 million of I&I work in the Meadowbrook Limestone area. Simultaneously, we will start identifying Phase 2 municipalities who are experiencing the greatest I&I issues and wastewater capacity constraints. I also promised you partners if we were bold, and I'm pleased to inform you that this plan has indeed caught the attention of many of our peers. In fact, we were recently awarded a $2.25 million grant from New York State, representing a 25% match on our first $9 million investment. After 30 years and $660 million spent by the taxpayers of Onondaga County, a legal settlement between the county, the Atlantic States Legal Foundation, and the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation is finally underway. All of this progress has been made possible by Onondaga County's dedication to clean up Onondaga Lake and return this urban water body back into a recreational and ecological asset for the community. The settlement of the ACJ is possible because we exceeded milestones for capture and treatment standards set by the New York State Department of Health. Although the ACJ is coming to a close, our commitment to Onondaga Lake is far from over. We will work with the New York State DEC to create a long-term control plan to address the combined sewer system and its impact to the tributaries of Onondaga Lake. This is a huge milestone for our community, and I want to thank this legislature, as well as past legislators, and former county executives Nick Pirro and Joni Mahoney for their tremendous stewardship of Onondaga Lake. Give them a round of applause. pretty good right there. I think Piro's with us tonight. County Executive Nick Piro, good to see you. Thanks to a cleaner lake, we are now seeing Onondaga Lake become the epicenter of recreational activity in our community. Whether it is the New York State Fair, the amphitheater, Onondaga Lake Park, or the Inner Harbor, the progress is undeniable. Certainly, the popular Loop the Lake Trail is helping to drive this transformation to the next level. It is proven to have an amazing recreational and economic impact for our county, and 2020 will be a busy year of progress for the trail. The southwest extension of our trail to Harbor Brook, the bridge over CSX railroads, connecting the trail to the Creek Walk, and the southeast loop and the Lake Lounge will all be completed in 2020. I'm also excited to share that our planning for the final stretch of our Loop the Lake Trail has begun. And make no mistake about it, we will complete the Loop the Lake Trail. Today, I'm very proud to announce that Honeywell International has agreed to turn over the lakeshore property adjacent to 690 to the Onondaga County in exchange for settling out a past agreement. For nearly a century, county leadership has actively sought to consolidate public ownership and access to the shore of Onondaga Lake. Today, we can finally celebrate achieving this goal. This property is comprised of 5 parcels in both the town of Gettys and the city of Syracuse, totaling over 40 acres of new waterfront park property. This is the final piece of privately held property on the lake, and now we can ensure Onondaga Lake is and always will be accessible to all. The recently installed New York State DEC boat launch, combined with our Loop the Lake Trail, will afford people the opportunity to see Onondaga Lake like never before, and know that this access will be available for generations to come. Thanks is due to Honeywell for being a responsible corporate partner in cleaning up this property. Now, speaking of the amphitheater, some people's favorite topic, last year was another strong year of ticket sales, resulting in a multi-million-dollar economic impact to the community. And for the second year in a row, the amphitheater ended the fiscal year with a net profit totaling $171,000. We anticipate after the 2020 season that the original project account we opened up for this project will be paid back in full. In 2019, the United Nations Gaming Exclusivity payments, which cover the bond payments on the amphitheater, totaled $3.577 million. Our 2019 bond payment for the amphitheater was only $2.96 million, resulting in a net positive of $580,000, which dropped to the debt stabilization fund created for this project. Now, in case you forgot, I know I haven't, this fund was the brainchild of Majority Leader Brian May, and now there's over $2 million in it. Brian, moving forward, this will be your part of the address year in, year out. Thank you, Majority Leader May, for this innovative idea. As we have learned, our infrastructure, both above and below ground, drives economic development. That is why in 2020, I'm going to come to you with a detailed plan to invest in a multi-sports facility. Sports tourism is a segment in the marketplace that has tremendous potential. We engage market experts, and they have confirmed that Onondaga County is a prime location for this type of investment. This facility would help address existing inventory challenges for numerous local, recreational, youth, high school, and club sports. It will also be a significant driver for tourism and for tournaments. This multi-use facility would have several turf fields, a stadium, and dynamic indoor facilities. This project alone would produce 51,000 new hotel room nights into the marketplace, 600 part-time and full-time jobs, and generate local sales and room tax of over $3 million annually. It is also timely, as many hotel owners have expressed concerns over potential room losses due to the pending Interstate 81 decision. It is clear that this project makes sense on many fronts. In the coming months, I will bring you a funding and operating plan to make this project a reality. Let's get this project done in 2020. In 2019, we added acreage to our White Pine Business Park. While I know some have questioned this investment and are growing restless, I can assure you we have a plan and we will execute our plan well. One of the biggest attractions of White Pine is the proximity to one of the largest National Grid substations. This substation is capable of producing 1 gigawatt of power. White Pine is one of the only sites in the country that can make this claim. High-tech manufacturing is a real possibility. The additional announcement of Cree coming to the Marcy site in Oneida County is also very good news for White Pine. Our site is well positioned for either a supply chain opportunity for Cree or to serve as home of the next large high-tech manufacturer. Please stay tuned. In 2019, we partnered with our Village Main Street program. We have received 8 proposals and are in the process of evaluating each one. We will soon announce the winners in this competitive process. I want to thank Legislator Holmquist for all his support on this. Give him a round of applause. We also partnered on town planning grants, and I'm pleased to announce the recipients of these grants are as follows: the town of Clay, Marcellus, Elbridge, Spafford, as well as the hamlets of the Skaneateles-Montville community and Lafayette. Our $250,000 has leveraged another $165,000, helping these communities plan for their future neighborhoods and business districts. I also want to congratulate Mayor Walsh and all of our partners for the progress we saw in 2019 with the Syracuse Surge, a strategy for inclusive growth in the new economy. Let's dive into some of these highlights. In 2019, Chairman Knapp, leaders May and Irvin, and our county legislature took a historic step and seized on a once-in-a-generation opportunity to partner with the City of Syracuse, the City School District, OCM BOCES, and New York State to create a county-wide STEAM school. This school, located at our historic Central Tech building in downtown, will offer specific technical training to both urban and suburban students. After hearing from your constituents, the arts community, and the business community, the county legislature sent a memorializing resolution, which was a critical step to get our state partners to act. Over the next 2 months, we need to finish what we started. I will be sending over legislation asking you to consider a lease with the city school district and for bond authorization to get this project started. Your actions will set the stage for this historic renovation and will send a clear message to our students and businesses across the country that we are a hub for innovation and Onondaga County is where they need to call home. In 2019, we saw Lockheed Martin, SRC, Saab, and TTM all have success in collectively winning $5.7 billion in major defense contracts. We have seen high-tech manufacturing companies like Hillrom, Inficon, and Cryomech hiring and investing. We have seen Genius New York drive young tech in the unmanned aerial systems. And we have seen leading young tech companies like Plows and Mows, Spincar, Ephesus, and TCG player called the southern end of downtown home. You can see and feel a new spirit and a newfound confidence in our local government. The spirit is contagious, And it starts at the top, with your county executive and your mayor, followed by your county legislature and county council, town and village partners, nonprofit partners, higher education partners, Center State CEO, McMahon. All of these partners are aligned with the intention to create a growing economy that brings economic opportunity to every neighborhood in our great county. You see, the message travels, and the results are as follows. Our governor believes in this newfound spirit. And together, we see the Allen Foundation building the Salt City Market and investing in the Blueprint 15 strategy. We see the J.P. Morgan Chase award Syracuse an Advancing Cities grant. We are one of 5 national winners, the others being Miami, Chicago, San Diego, and Louisville. We see a digital alliance between Syracuse University, the city of Syracuse, Onondaga County, and Microsoft. Microsoft is making Syracuse their northeastern hub for smart cities and will have a physical presence in our Syracuse Surge footprint. We see JMA Wireless invest $20 million in the former Coin Laundry plant and bring 100 jobs to this facility for 5G manufacturing in the heart of the Syracuse Surge footprint. We see Baker's Health Group investing $40 million, creating 300 new jobs in our Inner Harbor. We see an $18 million Tech Garden expansion, which will provide more incubator space, drive growth, innovation, and jobs. We see local companies like Tessie Plastics, founded by Henry Beck in 1973, investing and expanding from a small business to employing over 1,000 Central New Yorkers, with 3 locations in Onondaga County: the town of Skaneateles, the town of Van Buren, and the town of Elbridge. And we are very happy to report that Tessie Plastics will be investing another $18 million in a 98,000 square foot expansion and creating 150 new jobs at their Elbridge location. And how about another long-time family business, Tracy Road Equipment, investing another $3 million in an expansion that will retain 140 jobs and create another 30 jobs. And certainly, we need to talk about a small opportunity in the town of Clay. I know everybody wants to focus on who the company is, but what I want you to focus, and if you have to close your eyes right now to focus, please do it. But what we really need to understand is what this opportunity represents. 1,000 full-time jobs, $40 million of new payroll in our community, 200 plus construction jobs injecting tens of millions of dollars in wages, and millions of dollars in supplies and materials. We cannot forget this company will be our neighbor, and they will be spending millions of dollars a year, which will further support our local companies. On day 1, this project will inject new tax revenue to the county, the town of Clay, and the school district. Over the 15-year pilot agreement, local governments will realize $28 million more than the existing golf course would have paid over the same period of time. This project represents a direct pathway out of poverty for hundreds of our residents. This facility will be the second largest e-commerce logistic facility in the world. Our county and our partners at the town of Clay, including Supervisor Damian Ulatowski, have performed well, granting the necessary approvals in a timeline that has allowed Trammell Crow to market the property. And we are pleased to announce that Trammell Crow has identified a tenant. Over the next few weeks, Trammell Crow will iron out the business deal with their new tenant, and we will announce in short order who our new neighbor will be. Folks, this project is happening. Onondaga County is on the map. This is what progress looks like. This is what it feels like. We have seen what is possible, And this is why we need to double down on our PI platform in 2020. In 2020, let's approve a City-County Information Technology Shared Services Agreement. Let's approve a City-County agreement to co-locate offices in the Carnegie Building. Let's get a shared service agreement done for our 2 IDAs. Let's get a retirement incentive done for the future fiscal sustainability of our county. Let's make our Veteran Services Agency a standalone department reporting to my office. Let's build 6 new tiny homes. Let's put another $150,000 into our Tech Pack program to address the digital divide. Let's honor the legacy of James C. Tormey III. Let's make history with our wastewater infrastructure consolidation plan. Let's work on finishing the final phase of the Loop Lake Trail. Let's approve my administration's new deal with Honeywell and return 100% of the Onondaga Lake shoreline to the public. Let's build a multi-sport athletic facility that will drive tourism and over 50,000 additional new hotel room nights into the market. Let's get the STEAM school legislation adopted and get this state-of-the-art high school online. Let's not rest on our success of 2019. Let's keep the partisan swords out of local governance. Let's work together, double down on our partnerships we have made, and continue to be a shining example of how local government is supposed to operate. Let's realize that no matter who you are, where you live, the color of your skin, the name of your God, your gender, or sexual orientation, we have more in common than we do differences. And let's realize that every person in this room has this in common. Our greatest asset is time. We only have so much time on this planet. Our time is so valuable. For my colleagues in government, as we start this new decade, we have a moment in time where we have proven we can get along. We have a moment in time where we have realized our intentions are aligned. It is this moment where we must build on this progress. We must stay together, and if we do this, we can drive our city, we will drive our county, and we will drive our region to heights we have not seen before. Let's capture this moment together. Let's get to work. God bless all of you.